Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. So, today I titled this message, The Cost of Covering Up the Truth When Family and Friends Don't Want You Exposing the Lies. So, there is a cost to cover up the truth. We saw that some individuals who were considered foes, right, were after David in the book of Psalms. And the thing is that when you have enemies don't want you to survive. Enemies don't want you to live comfortably, peacefully. They're going to keep coming at you in various ways, whether boldly or subtly, to basically quiet you. Okay? There is a cost, though, of covering up the truth. You could be the one who's an enemy to self. You don't want to see the lies that you told. You don't want to see the lies that other people have told. You just want things to go away. And ever since this person told me this, things are different. Well, that's how it is sometimes when we get around the people of God. But I'd rather have different any day than find myself faced with another struggle. And this time it involves my children or my future grandchildren, because I didn't want to deal with something. Because sooner or later, it catches up to you. The secrets, the lies, the concerns, the offenses, all of these things will catch up to you. And you got to do something with it. So there is a cost of covering up the truth. And that may come in the form of a divorce, a separation, a job loss, a unexpected relocation somewhere that isn't for the better, but instead is for the worse. The cost of covering up the truth creates divisions in families, of course. Losing opportunities, money is lost. There's a lot of things related to covering up, okay, the truth. And so the key is that we want to unmask it. We want to expose it, and we want to stop being those individuals who are like, it's okay, it's all right, when we know better. Okay? People who are caught up in lies or secrets, they will go to great lengths to maintain their cover-ups. Okay? And a lot of this is driven by fear, shame. There's this desire to protect their reputation. Many of article is out there that talks about this. I know that over the years I have read countless articles on Psychology Today about things related to abusers and users and just all sorts of behavioral issues that go on with people who have been traumatized. And some of you all know the rest, right? Because you're living it. But when there is this truth that the liars don't want to come out, sometimes it's tied to their reputation. I just don't want anybody to know about this because my reputation is on the line. Okay? And we're not going to say whether it's a good thing or bad thing. It's just that there are just some things that I know why in this season, in this hour, you're not going to talk about what that truth is. Not yet. But I'm good with a person saying, but in time, I will speak truth. Okay, great. Just so long as you will do it. But if there is this continuing to tell lies and continuing to cover up, and there's no attempt at sitting down and saying, here's what the truth is, then this can affect future generations. And then the family history, if you will, gets changed or rearranged. And now people are fighting later on about what is the lie and what is the truth. And then when we pull out paperwork, Lord Jesus, we show receipts. And there's some folks that's coughing right now because your mama, your grandmama, and everybody else were telling y'all some things in the family. And we found out through receipts, through birth certificates and everything else, that no, what you were told was not correct. Okay? But what hurts is when these people still continue to perpetuate lies, and when they want to discredit you. But there's a lot of ignorance, a lot of uneducated people, unfortunately, in many families, and they find ways to make themselves look important. They find ways to be know-it-alls. And then this is where God will say, look, this one doesn't know it all. You're going to go and you're going to get those receipts. You're going to get the birth certificates. You're going to sit down. You're going to interview people who know that person, okay, that's in question, or who were there during that time. And you're going to spend money that they don't have or they don't want to give up. You're going to spend that money and you're going to get the information that you need, you see. And so these sorts of things, I know that you may not have done this yet, but this is what God will put on your heart when you have someone who insists on telling lies. And I never wanted to be in a position where I had to expose some individuals or their stories or what have you. But if they would have just come correct, if they would have done the right thing behind closed doors and received the truth for what it is, then they wouldn't be ashamed and embarrassed, and they wouldn't have to experience all of the backlash as a result of the lies that they have spoken. So that is my take on it. I knew sooner or later that the liars were going to attack me because of the simple fact is that some of these people, they buckle under pressure. They don't know how to handle it. And so it's easier to just simply blame someone else. Well, she said this because, and meanwhile, you need to take accountability for your own actions. You see, you need to hold yourself to a higher standard. And that is not what's happening here. And so the Lord shows us. And then, of course, here comes the low contact, the no contact. Some folks are emotionally distant, physically distant. Me, I'm doing too much studying and focusing right now on what God has on my life to be bothered with individuals who insist that they're right when in all actuality they're wrong. And then when they take it a step further and they want to attack you or assume things about you, that's when God has to deal with them. And it doesn't matter that they're believers and that they've been in the church for many, many years, or they've given to so many different organizations or groups. They too will be dealt with. It's not just about the children of darkness. Okay? I've seen many a Christian end up having to shut their mouths or step down or be put out of churches and so forth because they told too many lies. Okay? And that's facts. All right. Hate to be the messenger of bad news, but that's what happened with some of your family members. Okay. They got set aside. They got set apart. They got sat down. Some had to retire simply because their minds, bodies, and spirits could not handle things any longer. And it was obvious. Kind of like the Biden situation, right? You're mumbling. You're saying things that don't make any sense. Your mind is off somewhere else. We can't keep talking to this person or putting this person on some kind of pedestal. Right? We've got to slowly but surely, take their resources away, retire them, move them out. And then we take, the positions. So for some of you all, I know that this is what's happening in your churches. There's a shift and you've got to do what you have to do. And part of that is that as you take on a new role, whether it is at the church or at a workplace or what have you, you find out that previous leaders, workers, told lies. So when this sort of thing that is going on with individuals who go to great lengths to cover up what they've done, what they've said, that is not factual, it's questionable, what have you, there is this cognitive dissonance. Some of you all may have heard the terminology, especially if you go to therapy or if you have taken a psychology course or courses. You will hear this. And this is where individuals, they're going to experience their share of discomfort when their actions conflict with their personal beliefs. Okay? So there's this justifying what they're saying, what they're doing. They're denying the wrongdoing. They're manipulating the situation to avoid the truth. This recently happened. I was very disappointed in an individual who wanted to flip things in such a way based on whatever mindset, when what you're supposed to do is look at facts. Simply put, facts. And that manipulation that goes on in one's mind, no matter how much conversation you give a person, as long as they are stuck on stupid, that's where they're going to be. Okay? They're going to be stuck on the stupid things that show up in their minds. Not calling a person stupid, I'm saying the stupid things that pop up in their minds. And sometimes it's not what pops up in their mind, but it's what others have told them. And so then there's the unpacking, and they're sitting down and trying to make sense out of the nonsense. And yet, even though you think that, okay, we've got a meeting of the minds, the person walks away from the conversation, and now they're blabbing off the mouth, thinking that things aren't coming back. And then they come back, and now here we go. All right, that's one. Gotta distance myself. Okay? Some of you all, you know where I'm coming from. You've experienced it within your family. You've experienced it at the workplace. When one is in this mental state of cognitive dissonance, they are going to lie more. They're going to be more defensive. They're going to find out more ways to control how others perceive them. So the holidays come along, and now they've got to present themselves as being so generous and so giving and loving. And then they get some extra money, and they start spending their money on all sorts of people, and oh, she's just so wonderful and all that. I remember one relative years ago said that I know how to get people to be on my side, and I'm like, oh my goodness, wow, I didn't know it was that kind of issue going on. She said, I just start buying them something, you cook for them, you do all sorts of nice things, and then that one who said all that ugly stuff, well, you see, they're going to have to take back their words. And I was like, So I started paying attention. And she wasn't the only one that was doing this sort of thing. There were many others that were doing this too. Okay? And to be young at the time, being able to think that way, I said, well, she must have had a bunch of older people that were around her, because there were those individuals that they learned from grandmothers, they learned from aunts, they learned from uncles, they learned how to manipulate. Okay. And so this was fascinating to be able to observe these individuals at that particular time in my life, when I had the education to go, wow. I mean, I was taking a psychology class, marriage and family at the time, to be able to see how this all unfolds, how the manipulation can destroy family, and the type of mindset that you have to take on in order to get what you want, when you want it, how you want it, even though you're the one who started all of it. Wow. Woo, right? So there's these common behaviors that show up with these people who like to cover up the truth. And that's what we're getting into. We're going to start off with my book, Face Your Foe. This particular book has not been released out on Amazon yet, but I started writing this book back in, 2016. So this book is long overdue to be released in its print version. Right now, it's just available on the electronic devices, but it's called Face Your Foe on Confronting the Critics by NichollMcGuire. And there is a section in a chapter I have called The Upset and Confusion That Your Foe Causes when a foe works hard to cover up the truth. I'm just going to read an excerpt, and then I'm going to get into these common behaviors people exhibit to cover up the truth based on many articles that I've read over the years on Psychology Today, as well as other websites. So we just had to pretty much summarize all of this, because it would have been just too long of a message, and I really am trying to condense some of these messages. So here we go. People go from being friends to foes when they just don't want to tell the truth. A friend turned foe creates chaos so as to keep you from knowing the truth. He or she most likely wants you to be understanding as to why something wasn't told to you, if you should find out the secret, lie, or cover up. In families, I've observed some things occur between the gatekeepers of information and the ones who are not privy to know anything. As long as people continue to hide facts from people who should know the truth, they are deemed loyal and trustworthy. Notice that. But the day someone's conscience gets the best of them is the day that person will spill the truth, and entire family might mark that individual as disloyal and caution others to keep their distance. Notice how this happens? And some of you all wanted to know, why is it that this one doesn't talk to that one? And why is it that one day they were close, but they're not? I gave you the answers right there. Let me just reread a little bit of it again in case you missed it. In families, I've observed some things occur between the gatekeepers of information. So we have the gatekeepers of information. That could be the matriarch, the patriarch, the favorite in the family, what have you. And then there are those in the family, some of you all are familiar with black sheep, right? These are the people who are not privy to know anything. However, that's what some of the gatekeepers think. But what I found from interviewing black sheep of the family is that they know a whole lot. And sometimes they pretend as if they know nothing because of any number of reasons. Sometimes it can be a life-threatening situation, especially when you have abusive people in the family. Okay, so as long as people continue to hide facts from people who should know the truth, right? There are people who should know that that baby is the father it belongs to the father of XYZ, but that lie's still going on. Or this marriage was never what you thought it was. It was really a marriage of convenience or an arrangement, or just throwing out all sorts of little secrets here. Or this one had been abused by her sibling, and so this is why this relationship is no more, you see. So there's all these different dynamics as to why some individuals just want you to not rock the boat, not to go down that rabbit hole. They're not going to help you get any type of information or anything else. So they continue to hide facts from people who should know the truth. She should know the truth because, hey, you know, this is one of those situations, let's say, where the father is asking questions. Isn't this a good time to start saying, well, yeah, this isn't your child? You see what I mean? But hey, as long as people continue to have facts from people who should know the truth, they are deemed loyal and trustworthy until they're not. So that is out of my book, Face Your Foe. On Confronting the Critics by NichollMcGuire. I hope that you will go over to smashwords.com to get the book, and at some point this will be available on Amazon. All right, so here we go. There's these common behaviors that these people who don't want people to know the truth, right, they're going to do, and I want you to be prepared for it, okay? I've talked about this in other audio, but I feel like we need to make it plain in this particular one, okay? Because people are missing it. They're still missing some of what is going on here in their lives as well as others. So let's say I'm going to put you in the family holiday event, and there is that relative who we found out a lot of truth about that one. That one suspects that we know something, so we want to have a confrontation of some sort, okay, where we sit down. We're going to be polite. We're going to be respectful, of course, but we need to confront this individual on some things that are really rocking the boat in the family. So I'm going to tell you right now, and this is a common issue, they're going to deflect and they're going to blame shift. So you got to be ready with a rebuttal on that. They're going to accuse someone else. They're going to accuse you. They're going to do all the things like what Jesus had experienced. A lot of this stuff just comes straight out of the Bible, in just the way people behaved with Jesus when Jesus was telling them the truth about their ugly selves. Okay? They may even come up with some story or some question to distract. They may even be comedic, like the ones who want to make jokes about everything because they want to look like, hey, you know what? Your question, you're confronting me, you know. That's like oil on a duck's back. We're not even worried about that, right? Anyway, look at you, big head, fat, whatever, and everybody starts laughing. You see? That's to distract from the truth. And in this way, others will say, yeah, you always are, trying to find out something or whatever, right? And so this way you get all in your feelings, and then you go, you know what, maybe it's not a good idea to look any further into this issue. And then those who are enablers and who love that one who just made everybody laugh will say, yeah, girl, you just need to stop. You really do. You don't need to confront that person anymore. Let this be the last time that you bring this up. You see? They won, you lost. Okay, and this is why some of you all freak out, because you know what they're doing. Because when you're around a bunch of ignorant people, they don't see the games. They don't know anything about deflection. They don't know anything about blame shifting. Heck, most of these people don't even want to read. Okay, so, but you see it. You see it, and you know what this is. All right. When it comes down to gaslighting, I've mentioned this many, many times before, especially on my domestic violence and awareness types of audio messages. But we've got to talk about this again. The gaslighting sounds like it's never happened. I don't know what you're talking about. You're just imagining things. Why do you say these things? Looks like you're the one who needs some medicine. Something's wrong. I always knew she was crazy. Okay, all of that, that's gaslighting. And the key to them going back and talking to your family members and friends, whether you know about it or you don't know about it, and they're talking in this sort of way, is to get people to doubt their own experiences. Now, you could have been the one that actually saw that this is what really happened. These abuses did take place. I don't know why he's denying I was there. Well, are you sure? And all that other stuff, right? That is because, once again, they don't want the truth to come out. There's another thing that some individuals will do, and I experienced this firsthand, along with everything else that I'm talking about here. But this was this withholding of information. They knew that I was doing family legacy books, okay? That's what I do. When I'm not on this channel, every now and again, somebody will reach out and they'll say, look, I need a family legacy book. And I'm one of them. I get it done, okay? It's serious. It's one of those things where I don't know if people are going to go today, tomorrow, next week, what have you. So I move very quickly with those books. And if you are not the one that wants to give information, of course there's going to be some missing pieces, right? We're going to move quickly, but you got to be willing to talk. You got to be willing to expose yourself, depending on what the angle of the book is. Now, if this is just going to be a family-friendly book, like one particular project, it was just a family-friendly book, and it was catered to children that were under the age of 12 at the time. So, no, that person's not going to talk about, various acts that were committed that were emotionally, spiritually, physically, and possibly sexually abusive. They're not going to do that. Right? So there's that withholding of information that goes on. And so when there's this withholding of information, then the key is that they don't want you to ask any more questions. They're not going to be very detailed. They're going to be vague. Okay? They are appearing like they're cooperative about the subject that you're asking them about, but it's never enough information that fully exposes them. I know, it's tough. It's tough. I do have a book to help you question in such a way to get more information. I have a background in journalism and mass communications, and so there are ways to kind of get the information that you need. You want to get the book that is on Amazon. Matter of fact, you know what? Links to all my books are in the description box, and you'll be able to see. But it's Genealogy X. And you'll see it in my on my Amazon page, okay? Because I really want to get through this audio. This information is really good because I just feel in the spirit that somebody needs to be prepared. I'm hearing preparation for this conversation that you really want to have concerning someone covering up the truth, okay? There are those individuals who are kept away from those of us who are the truth seekers and truth tellers. So the abusers and users, the pimps, players, hustlers, gamblers, and drunkards, they want to isolate all of the most important people that grew up around them, that witnessed some things that they said or heard, and some things that they did. Okay, so there's this protection of secrets, right, that goes on. You are never to tell. You better take this to your grave. If you don't, I'm going to take this from you. I'm going to take that. And so when you are the one who's holding all of the secrets, there is this rift in the relationship. Okay. And so the key is to make sure that the truth teller goes somewhere else. Like, nope, you can get that information somewhere else, but you're not getting it from my son. You're not getting it from my daughter. You're not getting it from daddy and mommy and whoever else. Okay. That's why I tell people, get a workaround. And I'm telling you, one of the ways that you can do that is through ancestry. When you give your DNA over, and this isn't a plug for ancestry, but hey, but I will tell you this though, that DNA, because you can get it on some of the other websites as well, but that DNA will reveal a whole lot. I was able to talk to relatives who were just all over the United States, and it was interesting connecting the pieces of the puzzle and why people were so secretive back in the day, because they didn't want to know about these children that are running around here. And some folks still don't want to know, and others think that's what the information is that we have for them, when meanwhile there's some people in the family that knows that's not the information. But okay, that's what happens when you assume things. So anyway, but this is the kind of stuff, once again, that these people do, that are manipulators and liars, and once again, pimps, players, and hustlers, and so forth, that they just don't want you to know information. And then, of course, the last thing that I personally experienced was the emotional manipulation that goes on. This is where they are playing. They're playing games with the victim, and then they're stirring up all sorts of emotions within you. It could be guilt. It could be just anger, resentment, jealousy. They're just trying to stir up a whole lot of emotions within you to manipulate. Okay. And if you are the kind of person that you easily fall for this sort of thing, you don't get the information that you need. You get distracted. You never did expose them on the lie. You walked away once again without doing your job. And so that's why God will raise other people up to talking to them, and they end up having a falling out. Okay. The children of darkness do eventually go at war with one another. It does not stay peachy. Okay. They will cover up even that. They'll cover up the falling out that they had. All right. But there is this manipulation to keep people silent, and they don't want, they just want you to feel like you are the cause that the family fell apart, or you are the issue, or your drama, or your whatever they want to say. Okay. But that's not what this is. This is what the Lord wants, is that the liar to be exposed. Okay. Point blank and simple. He wants the liar to be exposed. So Proverbs 12:9 says, truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue lasts only a moment. Once again, truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue lasts only a moment. Luke 8:17 says, for there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open. Once again, for there is nothing hidden, okay, family secrets, the stuff that you're going to take to the grave. For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open. There were family members, unfortunately, who had been abused by their matriarchs and patriarchs, and they were like, oh, we were taking these secrets to the grave and all of that. And then what happened was that there was a domino effect. Some of those individuals, because of those secrets that they took to the grave, people who were users and abusers had been deified, like put up on pedestals until someone who had an experience with those individuals said, oh, this was a known fact that A, B, and C happened in this particular family. And so, I'm just giving you this information. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm so grateful that you gave it to me, because I don't want to be putting people on pedestals if that's the way they were, doing things. That's terrible. We found out that some of the victims, they were putting the abusers up on these pedestals because it was to hide what had happened. Okay. Yeah, it's shameful. It's shameful. It's embarrassing to know that these relatives had done what they did to these children. But we don't want the cycles of abuse to continue. And if we don't expose the individuals who have done this sort of thing, then history is deemed to repeat itself. All right, so 2 Samuel 11 and 12. We're going to take a quick look at David and Bathsheba. You do remember, and I'm not going to read the scriptures, but I'm just going to summarize just to give you a good idea of how this covering up, once again, using this example, I've used it in other audio, how this looks, right, when truth is covered up. So we have David, he's a king. So right away, you know that he is going to be very particular about his reputation. He knew that what he did by committing adultery with Bathsheba was a scandal, a big issue for that time. Okay, so he's got to try to cover up his sin. And he does it by orchestrating the death of Bathsheba's husband, Uriah. Right? This was the game plan. Some people, even in modern day times, did this sort of thing. Okay? And they're being investigated. So, all these efforts to hide this truth, God then sends a prophet. Now, for some of you all, in the prophetic ministries, you might be that one that God chooses to go talk to the pastor, the deacon, the bishop. Ooh, come on. The first lady, somebody in the church, about someone who is caught up in adultery, for instance, or who could be ripping off the elderly in the community. All right. But doing something, you may be that one called, like the prophet Nathan, to confront that David who's in sin. And what's going to happen? There's going to be this cover up, because now David knows that somebody knows. But no, when God has that prophet, that's not a false prophet. That is a prophet of the Lord. The truth is going to come out no matter what you say. Well, let me give you this money real quick. I know your family is in need and what have you. Just shh. You don't need to say nothing about this. No, I am. No, don't. But I am. And then sometimes what happened was that person ended up experiencing all sorts of loss. You see? And so enough loss happens. After a while, people go, you know what, Lord? Ain't all the truth in the world. I'm just going to go ahead and take this money, sit down somewhere, and just live out my life. But some people, there's such a calling on them that no matter what happens, they're like that pit bull that's not letting go. They're going to keep going and keep going. And even if they're off the face of this earth, there's going to be many more that rise up. You see. So, when you are so careful to conceal that sin, whatever that sin might be, understand that those sins are not hidden from our Lord and Savior. But I'm going to take this to the grave. They're not hidden from our Lord and Savior. When you could have helped some people on this side, but you said, nope, I'm not going to do it. I can't wait till God called me home. Well, you might want to wait, because there's no guarantee that you're going to that holy land. There's no guarantee that you're going to those pearly or standing outside those pearly gates. Okay? God has called many a man, many a woman to go ahead and tell the truth. Okay? Some people say, I don't want to be 90 plus years old suffering on this planet. If I'm going to live long, I want to live where I can take care of myself and I can do this, that, and the other. Okay, well, part of that is tell the truth. Because what does the truth do? It sets you free. You got all these health ailments that I just can't seem to heal. I wish God would heal me. Let go of the lies that you are putting out there. And instead start speaking truth. And God will reverse the aging process. Ooh, I'm speaking to a group of people. God will reverse the aging process. And how might that happen? Because you're not weighted down by all of the comforts that you use to hide the truth. That premature aging and all of these extra health woes is because someone is drinking and eating and putting all sorts of things in their body to make them temporarily feel good, when God is just asking you to speak the truth. And for some of you all, it starts off by talking with the spiritual counselor, talking to the minister, talking to the therapist, talking to the doctor, but getting it off your chest. Okay? He knows that you're not comfortable with talking to certain people in your family. That's why he has all these other people to talk to you. You know, he knows that you're not comfortable giving your real name. That's why you can give him your middle name. And you're still honest and true when you do that. Look, stop with the excuses and just tell the truth. Ananias and Sapphira, they didn't tell the truth. And you know what happened to them. In Acts 5, 1 through 11. And I talked about this on my channel years ago. Where this was a couple who was selling their property, and then secretly what they did was they kept part of the monies while they pretended to donate the entire amount to the apostles. Well, you know what that deception ended up costing them? What did it cost them? Do you remember the story? Their life. You got that. They lied to God and they lied to the people of God. So some folks, that's where they're headed. Spiritual and physical death. We warned them. We told them. They want to keep on lying and hiding sins and secrets and everything else, thinking people don't know. Well, God knows, and he's dealing with people accordingly. John 8 and 32 in the NIV says, then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. I thank you as always for taking time out to listen. Please do check the description box. And if you feel so moved to give, you are welcome to give to this channel. We thank you in advance. Do take the time out to pray that God will bless you with the courage, with the strength, with the wisdom to speak the truth like never before. And I pray that you will get blessing as a result of all the cursing that some individuals are going to want to put upon you because of the truth that you speak. Thank you.